Public property.
I mean, we didn't steal it like that, but somebody discovered that Kentwood has a really good application, and so Tammy in our DPW, she kind of took that as a model.
All the rise, creating more mass here.
Tyler? Yeah.
Near that.
You're probably not happy about it.
What was it? I saw
A little bit.
Thank you.
like
You're welcome.
first floor was top.
I didn't know the first part, I did.
Second one, sure. And then third was, crossed up, knocked down.
Tricia, is Tom coming tonight?
I've not heard from Tom.
Whatever, it doesn't matter. I was very curious about Ramsey. How people,
It wouldn't surprise me if he, didn't wanna come. It's just like
yeah.
minor thing that we're doing here.
On camera.
Well, I say, Steve, it wasn't due to lack of communication.
Yeah,
Every day, Steve's in my inbox, my inbox.
I had it in my mailbox too.
Yeah.
All right,
Call the meeting to order of the Walker Planning Commission for March 2nd. First item on the agenda is to review the meeting minutes from February 2.
There's somebody in the audience. There he is.
There he is.
Better open it up for public comment. I'm here.
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes.
Okay, motion by Tyler,
Support.
supported by Stephen to approve the minutes. All those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed, nay. Motion carried. No public here to comment, so we'll move on to the agenda items. I've got a public hearing on the proposed zoning ordinance amendments. Tricia, if you could lead us into that, please.
Yep, thanks, Terry. So, we should have a pretty simple meeting tonight. We are looking at, adding some and, amending some language in our zoning ordinance as it relates to small cell wireless facilities. And so the action requested by the Planning Commission tonight is to forward a recommendation to the City Commission for the approval of the proposed text amendment. The City Commission will have the final review and approval of the ordinance amendment. So if you were like me, you may have asked yourself, what is a small cell wireless facility? And maybe you already knew, like Terry, because he works in Kentwood and they've been dealing with this.
The road commission too.
Road Commission. Yeah. So it's finally coming to, well, it's already in Walker, but we're to the point now where we have to adopt some ordinance language so that we can have a little bit of regulatory oversight on these facilities. So you're probably all familiar with a traditional cell tower, either on a monopole or a lattice like this one. So a small cell wireless facility is an antenna that is going to be attached to an existing utility pole or a street light or something like that. And they're generally placed in areas, like in urban areas or areas where there's going to be a lot of devices concentrated in one area. And all those devices are competing for bandwidth for data. And so these small cell wireless facilities are connected by fiber optic cable, which is what allows them to have capacity for such high-speed data transfer. And the fact that they are within closer proximity to the devices makes it easier and faster for the connections. And again, these facilities can be placed on existing utility infrastructure such as telephone poles or street lights. And so why do we need an ordinance for this? So in 2018, we're a few years behind. Some communities have already adopted ordinances to address small cell wireless facilities because the adoption of the Small Cell Wireless Communications Facilities Deployment Act, say that really fast, 5 times in a row, or Act 365 of 2018. So it was adopted in 2018, and municipalities are responding to the content that's within that ordinance or the act. And basically, what the act does is it gains cooperation from local municipalities so that they're not prohibiting this type of infrastructure and they're not over-regulating it, because apparently it is a necessary infrastructure for data. So another reason we need an ordinance is because it allows the DPW regulatory oversight for most small cell equipment that's being proposed within the right-of-way. So most of these facilities you're going to see are being installed in the right-of-way, on existing structures in the right-of-way, in the public right-of-way. Most of these facilities are exempt from having review by the Planning Commission. And there is some other ordinance language. It will be a new section or a new chapter in our ordinance, chapter 79, that the City Commission will consider adopting for language related to facilities that are exempt, or the ones that are in the right-of-way with certain design criteria. And then the process will be largely handled by the DPW in terms of applications and processing and inspections and that kind of thing. And then, so why we're here tonight is some zoning ordinance language allows the Planning Commission some regulatory oversight for certain small cell wireless cell equipment and facilities. So these types of facilities are referred to as non-exempt. So they're not exempt from Planning Commission review. And these are going to be structures that are, so facilities or structures such as new utility poles in the right-of-way that exceed 40 feet in height, or any installation of equipment on existing structures within the right-of-way that extend more than 5 feet above the top of that structure. So we're talking about a pole with equipment toward the top, and if it exceeds 5 feet above the top of that structure, then it would need special exception use review by the Planning Commission. And then also any small cell wireless facilities that are proposed outside the right-of-way, such as private property or within the DDA. So just to give you a summary of the ordinance language that we're proposing that you review tonight, we're adding a section 94-117 to be entitled Small Cell Wireless Facilities. We're amending Chapter 94, Article 12 to add Section 94-360 to be entitled Small Cell Wireless Facilities. And then amending Chapter 94, Article 9 to add a new Section 94-254, subsection C to be entitled Non-Exempt Small Cell Wireless Facilities. So, I'm sure you all had a chance to thoroughly read through the proposed ordinance language. And the language that's in the ordinance essentially mirrors that of the act. And so we wanted to have a little bit of oversight when it comes to design and, what types of lots they can be on, and stuff like that. So did anybody have any questions about what's in the ordinance as it relates to the act, or how it's going to work when the planning commission reviews it? Okay. So that's basically it for me. Again, your task is to make a recommendation.
I would like to first motion to open a public hearing.
Is this a public hearing?
Yep.
Says it is.
Second that.
Got a motion and seconded to open the public hearing on this proposed amendments to the zoning ordinance. All those in favor indicate by saying aye.
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 Those opposed, nay. Motion carried. Public hearing's open.
Motion to close the public hearing.
Support.
Motion by Stephen, supported by Tyler to close the public hearing. All those in favor indicate by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed, nay. Motion carries. Any discussion?
I didn't quite, the picture, is there a cable of some kind that runs underneath all these telephone poles? Is that routine? That's the little purple line here, and that hooks up to these small cell, is that, and the small cell is a box about so big, I understand.
Yes, that's how I understand it. The fiber optic cable is something that's run underground.
So if that's not already there, or is that's with each one of those poles, has one of those, or it doesn't, or?
I think some of the fiber optic cable, could be there for other purposes. But if it's not there, then it would be installed.
Good, Joe?
Is anyone ready for a motion?
Yeah, I can make a motion to approve or recommend approval of the changes to the zoning ordinance. I didn't see a model motion, so is that just fine as is?
Okay, do we have support? Support by Tyler. No discussion? We'll put it to a vote. All those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, nay. Motion carried. Thanks, Tricia.
Maybe Steve would like to explain the intense lobbying by this group for virtually no fees and all that good stuff. Oops, I didn't say that.
No, that is a problem. That's why so much of it is preempted to local government, is there was a major effort to make sure that the structure of it was a certain way.
All right, we'll move to item number 2 on the agenda. It's administrative site plan review notification on the Jason Ridge West project. Tricia, if you could lead us into that.
Yeah, so, there is a section in our zoning ordinance that allows for an applicant to make a minor modification to an approved FASP in section 94-213. And so shortly after the Planning Commission reviewed the Jason Ridge West condo development, I was approached by the developer, Jeff Clausen from JTB Homes, and they expressed a desire to rearrange some of the unit types, so going from either duplex to single or vice versa. And they increased the square footage of some of the units. And so he provided a really nice comparison here. So this is what was approved, this top plan here. And then this is what is proposed. And so you can see that, for one, units 28 and 29, were broken out into, so 29 being a standalone unit here in the new plan, 27 and 28 being combined as a duplex unit, and then you've got 25 and 26, 24 and 23, 22 and 21, and then you have another standalone unit over here. So the table here, which I'm sure you all reviewed thoroughly, goes through any and all the changes that were proposed. So no changes to setbacks or parking areas or anything like that that's locked in within the PUD. And so it also requires, so it also requires that the planning commission be advised of this modification that was approved administratively. So this is the condo elevation where so another one of the changes is that they wanted to put the garages kind of out front. For aesthetic purposes, you know, these changes are all driven by the market and what people are asking for, and you know, what kind of wiggle room they have in the development to be able to accommodate some of their buyers.
So the density doesn't increase the unit, but it's a larger unit then, right? Is that what they're gaining by combining some of these?
So I don't know if it was more, I'm sorry, I'm trying to go back to that drawing. So an increase in some of the floor areas does not constitute an increase in density. So it's still the same number of units, but some of the square footages within the units have increased. So he was able to, by splitting off the two, the two on the end that were previously duplex units, it created a little bit more wiggle room to allow for a larger square footage.
So if they bring the garages out, then what does that do to the driveway lane? We had a lot of discussion about the 22-foot, 24-foot.
Yep, none of the setbacks have changed.
So they pushed the house back further? Or the building envelope back further then?
I don't know that the actual configuration, so if you look at the configuration here versus here, you know what, I had it wrong. It's, on the previous plan, they are bumped out just a little bit, and then on the new plan, they're recessed a little bit.
Okay.
Looks like number 20 on the view also gets a little further away from the fire side, so I think this is a positive. Plus with the setbacks, suits really good.
Yeah, that unit gets away from that parking area, so. And they took the proper channels, which is what I appreciate the most, because, you know, it was really this development, before they got to you guys, there was just this big tangled ball of plans and what was approved, what wasn't approved. This doesn't match the master deed. This master deed was recorded before any approvals were given, that kind of stuff. And so, you know, they sought the proper channels, and according to the ordinance, this is deemed a minor modification that I could approve administratively. But I'm bringing it to your attention so that there are no surprises if there's any changes going forward that do need your review.
Was the distance between the units changed? Can't really tell on
No. Nope, that was one of the things that is, so something like that is not considered a minor modification, the minimum distance anyway. If it met the minimum and it had to go a little bit closer but still met the minimum, then that's fine. So essentially, I'm just bringing this to your attention per the ordinance, and I'd be happy to answer any other questions you might have.
Any other questions? Looks good.
You did confirm that the driveways are still the same? Because I mean, I just don't want them to like play a trick on us and say we move the garage back, but then the driveway.
I looked at all that stuff.
Okay, because I can't read, I try to blow it up and I can't read the dimensions.
Yeah, it's a little fuzzy.
That's fine, okay.
So, like I said, minimum setbacks, none of that can be changed without your approval.
All right, I guess we're done with that project. Anything else for conversation?
We have a site plan approval that's gonna go on the April 6th meeting, so we won't have a meeting on March 16th. And, you know, other than that, we don't have a lot of, like, there hasn't been a whole lot of applications submitted, but I'm getting the inquiries are picking back up, and there's a lot that I think is going to be happening in the near future.
When does Lincoln come back? Because there's some activity out there.
They might be doing some like tree clearing or I don't know what kind of activity.
They were surveying today.
Oh, okay.
So it looked like to me that the MDOT's getting ready to take a look at that light or that street access.
Yep. So there were some stormwater issues that we had been, mainly Scott. I'm just kind of kept in the loop because obviously stormwater isn't my gig, but so Scott and we have a consultant from Prine and Newhoff who's been reviewing everything alongside Scott. We also have the county Drain Commission who's reviewing their drainage plan. And then they are moving forward with a permit from Eagle to address the impacts that they'll ultimately have on the wetlands that are there. And so they had some like major tweaks that they had to make to their plan. So it was taking a lot of time, but I think it's finally coming together now, and we're looking at probably the second meeting in April for the final area site plan for Savannah at Walker. Yeah, that's your official update.
Yeah, they got their medal.
Thanks for letting me know. Tom, will you be there?
What?
Will you be at the April 6th meeting? I thought you were about to say I won't be there either.
No. So what was with the COVID testing thing that came and went on Alpine at how many?
So, since Steve's here and he wants to leave, I can tell, but
You should have no stress, you should be all relaxed. Your race is over, so just,
he might be short on some Z's, but that's all.
I mean,
So-
celebrate it too much.
So Steve brought it to our attention that there was some signage, and so it took us a minute to figure out what the signage was coming from, and we ultimately found out that there was like a portable or a temporary structure on that lot that the property owner was leasing out to these COVID testing people, and
Now, was that come and go, or was that still?
nope, DAR.
Daryl.
Yeah, so.
He wouldn't,
Oh, he wouldn't do that.
We are recording. So last, the last I knew with that whole situation was Megan had some, a call out to the health department to see like, is this an approved site? Cause I don't know if we know that for sure.
Well, I thought it was the come and goes contractor moving in a portable office.
Yeah.
And it sat there and they brought a generator and a propane tank. Oh, that's kinda cool. Must be they're gonna get started. Next thing I know, there's a vinyl sign tied to it that says COVID testing. Then the signs went away. And then they came back and now the tank is gone. I think the generator's gone now.
Oh,
Yeah,
do you have any more information about
yeah,
that?
so
Okay.
Megan had issued a letter to the folks operating the small, entity and, let them know that they would be required to get licensed to continue to operate and they would require health department approval. And, then the signs were gone, so,
Yep. Propane
Yep.
tank's gone, generator's gone.
yep.
Beige. Had bars over just like the one that Spectrum Health has outside their place on Alpine.
It's like a mobile mini thing.
Yeah,
We have about 20 of them out there that we leased,
Yeah.
and that's why I was saying if it was red, then it was one of ours.
Well, it sounds like that's being resolved,
I
so,
was just curious. It came and,
Well, I was driving by it every day and I was like, man, that's weird. Just because, going by at the light every day.
Part of the development.
Yeah, well, I didn't.
thought was
It's weird because I kept seeing it, but I didn't think anything of it every time, and I just thought like, well, weird thing. But then one of the guy that owns the shop on the corner, Butch, he was like, "Hey, what's going on there?" Like, I'm not super psyched about it. So
I
like,
hope nobody like went there and was scammed.
I never saw a car there, any kind of car there.
well,
No
a lot.
vehicle.
There's like one or two cars there, like or there was one or two cars there, like all the time. It felt like when I was going by. But I was going. I was going by during the middle of the day. Usually they're like taking the sidewalk signs down and stuff around like 5 o'clock or whatever.
So what, I don't understand how that would even work. Do you just walk in and say, hey, I need a COVID test, and,
Well, they want your insurance
Yeah.
information, because
Yeah.
you don't pay for it, but the insurance will pay.
Exactly.
Question on that, where the old DNW was and the storage unit now.
Yeah.
When they were back in for, review, it was brought up that they had U-Haul trucks there and they weren't supposed
There's
to.
tons of them there now.
Still have
yeah. So I can't remember how much I've updated this group, but, they went to the ZBA to appeal Megan's order to stop the U-Haul business. And, Megan, our code enforcement specialist. And they appealed the order. ZBA affirmed her order. And then, so they then appealed to circuit court. City prevailed. And now they're appealing to the state court of appeals. So I think that, I think they're gonna have like oral arguments. And they've already filed their, like they've already started the proceedings for the Court of Appeals.
Shouldn't they have to stop having the U-Hauls though while there's court action pending?
So that's the thing. We've been advised that it's likely that our judge will say, well, if the case is in the Court of Appeals, you might as well just wait until that gets settled, until you actually make a decision, or corrective action.
You really would.
Yeah, so we've always felt like we had a really good case, and the mayor is giving us a lot of support for this case, and I mean, fingers crossed, it's gonna be where the city will prevail at the Court of Appeals.
All right. Do I hear a motion? All right. Thank you.
Thanks, guys. That was a long, short meeting.
Did you promise a short meeting?
Yeah, I did.
Oh, I must have been missed that. I thought it was kind of odd that come and go was gonna start work already. You know, and it's COVID testing, what is this?
Yeah,
Mental health break.
That's
I know.
good for you guys. Hopefully I'll get to take one of those.
yeah, go relax, Steve.
Yeah, alright, see you guys.
Thanks.
I think so. What was that, what was there? Maybe not.
I don't know.
Interesting what shows up. We're out there, aren't we? We're checking on things. Hey, I'll get back to you on the phone sometime.
Okay,
Thank you.
yeah, set up
I
a
don't-
time and
I-
we'll talk about it.
Thank you.
I figured I'd get the story about the COVID testing, so. I was just curious.
Yeah, not
Now,
legit.
if they gone after those semis parked there? Cause like today,
yes.
they're all gone,
Yep.
except one trailer.
Yep, Megan, sent a letter to cause she happens to know whose semi it is.
Oh, there's more than one. There's multiple, sir.
Now there's multiple?
There have been. Did she know the guy with the red tractor? Cause he would park where the, come and go is gonna be. He moved out of the thing next to the big,
Oh, wait, you're talking about that site?
which one you talking?
I thought you're talking about the U-Haul site, or
No, not
I
the.
thought you were talking about
No, I'm back at the come and go
okay,
COVID testing
yeah.
place. Because I noticed today there's only one trailer left and all the trucks are gone.
I don't think I knew anything about the semi trucks there.
You know what?
But the guy who's next door, I think,
switch for those.
I walk